Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Fignuts. My name is Britt,
I'm Craig.
and Craig, we are back. We are so close to the start of the football season. Drafts are underway. National Draft weekend is upon us. I believe it's this weekend. It's usually the weekend before Labor Day weekend, so it is very appropriate that we are back today. Let me start by reminding folks that this is episode number 107 overall, or season 3, episode 7. And you know, I don't know if you watched this weekend's games, but I learned nothing this weekend by watching the games.
No, I didn't learn much because a lot of people didn't play.
A lot of people sat out. But before we get to that, let's start where we always start. Craig, what are you drinking tonight?
Tonight I am drinking a beer by Treehouse.
Oh,
You were nice enough to share the beer.
oh, it wasn't
From
me.
the source.
It was the source.
He's got a
So
guy.
yeah, we've got a guy, and so thank you again to the source, who is a source of not only information but also of beer. So what are you drinking by Treehouse tonight?
I am drinking Green. It's,
I
their-
had that.
it's an IPA. It's 7.5%, and it's pretty good.
It's not
Pretty good.
bad.
It's dry on the back end.
Yes,
Uh,
very.
The other night I tried the other two that I took back with me.
Okay.
The Bright, which is
Like
like
that one.
Britt, and
Right.
Sap.
Yeah, I tried both of those on Sunday as well. And they weren't bad. I mean, Treehouse is
Sap was
good.
very dry. That you
Very
drink
dry.
it and your mouth is completely dried out.
Very, very dry. And for those of you who sit there and say, "Hey, the guys sound a little bit different tonight," I've been feeling under the weather today, so I'm actually recording from my house. So this is new for us. So bear with us. We are upgrading our technology. So I am actually not drinking a beer tonight because I'm not there with Craig to drink his beer. So I'll pass on that tonight. Before we get into burning hot takes, really quick, I just want to say hi to Brad, who I met yesterday at Two Roads. He was visiting from Iowa. We struck up a lovely conversation at the bar, and he is a new subscriber, so welcome, Brad. It was nice meeting you, nice chat with you yesterday. And as always, hi, Deb.
Hi, Deb.
So with that, let's go into burning hot take questions. Craig, are you giving or receiving?
I'll receive.
Okay. Tyreek Hill
Okay.
misses practice on Tuesday.
Uh-oh.
On the injury list. Reason? Personal.
Oh, boy.
He returned to practice on Wednesday.
Okay.
Big deal? No deal? Or here we go again?
For me, that's leaning towards here we go again because, you have to assume positive intent. Maybe, his grandmother was sick. I don't know. But yeah, it's something you would definitely have to keep your eye on because I really have a feeling this is going to pop up again during the year. And that could just throw his fantasy value into a tailspin.
I kind of agree. I'm a little worried about it. I mean, he came back today, so I'm not super, super concerned. But, with all the stuff that's going on with this dude, anything that happens outside of him catching passes is going to raise concern,
Yes.
So
Big time.
I am like, whoa, I don't know what to make of this stuff. So, yeah, all right. So there was my first. That was my thought. I just like, oh, vey, here we go again. But he was supposedly back at practice day, so it's probably fine. So, what have you got for me?
Along the same lines, it has to do with a receiver. Antonio Brown.
Oh,
His his grievance for his helmet didn't go through. He's still dealing with his foot issue.
mm-hmm.
He filed a second grievance
Yep.
for his helmet. And then apparently at some point he walked off the practice field and came back. He's in this weird lawsuit with a celebrity chef he hired about.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so apparently the chef left a fish head. I don't know if it was by accident or on purpose, but he left a fish head in his refrigerator or his freezer, and Antonio Brown took it as a threat, like in The Godfather with a horse.
Oh my God, you've got to be
So
kidding me.
here's my thing. Do you think all of this is just kind of like cover up he was stupid and he gave himself frostbite? Or do you think that this is starting to become like a CTE issue and like his doctors maybe need to tell him he can't play anymore?
I was thinking about this today. There's a piece of this puzzle that people have not really talked about yet, and that's when was the last time we saw this kind of like all eyes on me, you have to give me exactly what I want in every situation out of a wide receiver to this level. When was the last time you remember somebody this kind of like my way or the
Uh,
highway?
Maybe not to this extreme, but Odell with the Giants, maybe.
Okay,
But this
okay.
is just weird.
I went to Terrell Owens,
Okay, yeah.
and guess who? Guess about who the link between those two players is.
Who is it?
It's Drew Rosenhaus. They had the same agent.
Oh,
And I mean, that says to me, I'm like, something is like, yeah. I'm just kind of like this, every time we got one of these guys who's just kind of like, I love me some me, it
right.
seems to be Drew Rosenhaus is the guy standing in the background.
You might be
It
onto
just,
something.
I have no idea who Odell Beckham Jr. agent. I don't know who he is. I have no idea who represents him. I'm trying to find it real quick on the internet, and I have no idea. If it's Drew Rosenhaus, then I am all in on
Then
this
you
conspiracy
you might
theory.
be right. Get the tinfoil.
Oh no, it's a guy named Zeke Sandu. Okay, so it's not Rosenhaus, but I I can't I don't get this. I don't think he's trying to cover up the injury. I think he is just that selfish a player at this point in his career that it's not about team or winning, it's about him and him alone. And I think he's squandering a golden opportunity to make up for the things that happened last year and for the perception that he had last year, and he's just squandering the opportunity. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. The whole thing, and yeah, you can say the Raiders are a dysfunctional team and whatever, but I don't know. It's really weird.
Yeah.
This might be the one of the higher end Madden curse issues.
Yes. Yeah. All right, my last one.
Yeah.
It's along the line of the injuries, kind of what's going on with that guy. Mike Evans.
Okay.
Came
What's up
out.
with Mike Evans?
It came out today that Mike Evans is going to sit out the final preseason game. I believe it's a knee injury. I'm pulling that up right now. Give me 1 second. You caught me unprepared here. They're saying the injury is minor and will not affect the start of the season, but they are still holding him out of the third and final preseason game. This is where
Okay.
a lot of guys are getting their walkthroughs in. This is your final walkthrough for a lot of folks, and he's not going to be out there. Does that worry you?
Not, and they didn't really say what the injury was or
Oh, I'm sorry.
any.
I'm seeing two injuries here for. Well, that's Justin Evans. Mike Evans, I'm seeing one injury reported as a quadricep. I'm not seeing what else it is that he could be bothering him. I'm looking. Oh, wait, here it is. Leg injury. He's missed
Ew.
practice all week.
I don't know. Receivers need legs.
So he had
So
a quadricep injury last week. He's got a leg injury this week. Are we worried about Mike Evans? Because he's right
I would
now going
definitely
in the
be
top
concerned.
five. He's top five wide receiver right now. Not in
That
my board, but in a lot of people's boards.
Oh, not that other best ball draft you did.
Which one?
Didn't you draft Mike Evans?
I did. Well, so that's a funny story. Two seconds side story. While I was sitting at Two Roads yesterday, I decided to do a best ball draft just on my phone really quick, and it turned out to be me drafting people I couldn't stand. We had Mike Evans on our team. I drafted Christian McCaffrey. I went against the grain is basically what I did. I had the one pick. Instead of grabbing Saquon, I grabbed Christian McCaffrey, which isn't crazy, but it's unusual. Our quarterback is Baker Mayfield, and I know Craig can't stand anything to do with the Cleveland Browns. And Mike Evans, I think, is our number one wideout. So yeah, I mean, it was all guys that I was like, what am I doing here? Let me see if I can pull it up real quick, because some of these I was like, what is wrong with me? I've done 15 best balls, by the way. 15 of them at this point.
Hey man, best ball's good practice.
It is. Yeah, I've got Baker Mayfield and Dak Prescott. I've got Kyler Murray, and I drafted a fourth quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky. Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, who I know Cinch loves. I'm not convinced he's going to be really good this year. I drafted both Chris Carson and Rashad Penny because no one knows what's going on in Seattle anymore. And I just rounded it out with Matt Breida because he was standing there. Our wide receivers, you ready? Brace yourself.
Okay, I'm ready.
Mike Evans, Julian Edelman,
Okay.
Tyler Boyd.
All right.
Now I know you love the Bengals, but Tyler
Right.
Boyd has basically been hung out to dry here. Sutton from
Okay.
Denver, who I
Yep.
do like. Marcole Hardman and Devin Funchess.
Wow.
Our tight ends are O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate, and T.J. Hawkinson. That's right. I have both of the tight ends on Tampa,
Right.
which
Wait,
means
didn't we name both of them the ones we can't draft?
yes. I
Nice.
told you this is the team that was like, I don't know what in the holy hell I am doing with this team. So it was a fun draft, but yeah, I have no rightful clue to say what I was doing there. So because I'm not feeling well, this is going to be a really quick episode today, guys, but we do have some stuff to discuss. What we really want to go over this week is changes to the draft plan and changes to ADP that are happening late. So if you've already drafted your team, some of this information may just be kind of like, thanks, but you're too late. But most drafts are happening this weekend or next weekend. So from what we've heard from some folks, we are wanting to cover this a little bit. By the way, thank you to everyone who's left us a review. We've had several reviews in the last 2 weeks. By several, I think I mean 4. But
still.
they've been good reviews and they've been good information, and we appreciate the feedback. So please keep the reviews coming. Don't hesitate to email us at fignutsdfs@gmail.com or tweet or message us on Twitter at fignutsdfs. We'd love to hear from you guys. So with folks who still have drafts left, the Blitz we did, which feels like 1,000 years ago, some of it needs to be updated. Let's start with the quarterbacks. Just in general, Craig, and I'm not going to call out certain people or anything like that.
Okay.
But do we is there a quarterback who's moved up or down your list in the last couple of weeks?
Not horribly. My quarterback for me is probably still the same.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're
nothing for me in this preseason has really changed my mind on anyone.
Me neither. We haven't had any significant injury. I know Aaron Rodgers is now on the injury report, but supposedly that's just an excuse to let him sit out an extra game. So I haven't seen anything injury-wise that has made me worry. I will say this, the Kyler Murray performance this week made me a little nervous. I slid him back. He is now, I think I had him in around 12 or 13. I probably have him around 15 to 17 right now in my personal rankings. Drew Lock got hurt, but he's not the presumptive starter there right now, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm looking to see if I can find, where is that information on Kyler Murray? I had it somewhere. Here it is. After frustrating outing, Murray is ready. So he completed 3 of 8 passes for 12 yards, committed 3 penalties, got sacked twice, and took a safety.
Huh.
That is not the kind of numbers that you're looking for out of Kyler Murray right now. So, I mean, I am a little nervous about Kyler Murray, but I'll tell you who's moving up my list is Joe Flacco.
Really?
Yes.
Game
Joe Flacco,
Manager Joe's moving up for you, huh?
he has looked really good. He threw a fantastic deep ball bomb to Emmanuel Sanders, and Emmanuel Sanders was completely freaking covered. Manny Sanders is running down the left sideline. I think this was at the end of the first quarter of the game. Manny Sanders is running down the sideline, and he's looking over his right shoulder, which is back towards the field. And the cornerback bid on it and said, this ball is coming from the inside. In the last 3 steps, he swung his head around towards the sideline because that's actually where the ball was going to be, but the cornerback had committed to the inside already.
Huh.
So the ball comes over the outside shoulder. Sanders hauls it in, gets the 2 feet in and falls over. It's like a 65-yard pass. They were like their own 25 or 30, and they were all the way down inside the red zone. He comes up, he slams the ball, he's all excited. The Denver fans go nuts, and then they see there's a holding flag back on the line.
Oh, that's sad.
But the bottom line is Joe Flacco put it there. He put the ball there.
That's pretty far for him.
Sanders ran a solid route. He not only threw the ball 50-plus yards, but he put it over the shoulder he wanted to, and Sanders and he had the timing to make it not only happen, but for him to fake out the cornerback and know when to turn his head to the actual ball location. That is really positive to me. So yeah, Joe Flacco is moving up my list. Let's talk about running backs for a second, because this is where it gets really muddy. Melvin Gordon.
He's going to miss the start of the year.
He is going to miss the start of the year. You've got to drop him now. I mean, in best balls before all this happened, he was going cute RB 5 or 6. He was going right outside. He was going in that first round. I can't touch him outside in the first 3 rounds now, can I? I can't trust him.
No,
there's no way. There's no way you can touch him in the first 3 rounds of any draft format. Now, consequently, and I'll ask you this: does Austin Ekeler now get a boost, or is Ekeler not going to be an adequate solution for their problems?
If you're just for doing the draft, I think this raises Eckler's value, but from a football standpoint, this does not help the Chargers at all long term.
Yeah, to me, this does not boot. Ekeler is not going to adequately replace Gordon. I thought Ekeler was going to have a really good year from a goal line perspective. I thought he was going to snipe some touchdowns from Gordon. I did not think he can replace Melvin Gordon. He was okay in the games that Gordon was out, but his primary benefit to them was inside that 5-yard line. I think he had combined as many touchdowns last year as Gordon did between the passing and the catching. It's like 7 or 8, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't if the games where he carries the load, he's like 12 carries for like 45 yards. It's not impressive. So, his use to me is inside the goal lines, trying to get down there and get those goal line carries. That's where he's useful, not as a replacement to Melvin Gordon. So I'm dropping Gordon, and I'm not really bumping up Ekeler. Zeke.
Oh.
Ezekiel Elliott flew to Dallas. He was in Dallas. He is back in Mexico. What the hell happened there?
He's back in Mexico?
He flew back like a day later. His agent now is saying he is back in Mexico, and there's been no progress.
His agent isn't Drew Rosenhaus, is it?
I don't believe it is. No, I have no idea who it is, but it's not Drew Rosenhaus. But what the holy hell? And supposedly he was upset because Jerry Jones made some comments about how Jerry Jones doesn't need Ezekiel Elliott because his name isn't Jerry Jones.
Yeah, his agent said it was very it was offensive.
And maybe that was it. Maybe that's what sent Zeke back to Mexico, was that happened. But I'm just kind of like...
Here's the thing. Like, do you think, say if that is the reason he went back to Mexico, hypothetically, like, do you think that's just way over on the sensitivity level?
I think he's trying to send a message.
I think they both are.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Zeke can go somewhere else, but I think he has to realize that Jerry Jones is going to do whatever Jerry Jones wants, and it doesn't matter what your name is.
That's absolutely true. The question is how long. The question is, can they win without him? And if they can't win without him, how long?
Pollard didn't look bad.
No, he has not looked bad. Tony Pollard does not look bad. So, with all this in play, how far are you dropping Zeke? Is Zeke leaving the first round for you? Because it's not quite the Melvin Gordon situation. I mean, the Chargers seem dug in for a prolonged absence, and they don't seem to be a contender this year. They look like the kind of team that would let this go for a long time. I don't know that Dallas will let him sit out for a long time.
No, I don't think. I think Melvin Gordon is closer to what happened to Bell.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Cowboys are going to let Zeke sit out the entire year.
So where is Zeke on your is Zeke is still in the first round for you? He is for me.
He has to be. I mean, I guess you could drop him a little lower, but
He's
he'll
right around the
definitely be
David
gone in the
Johnson
first
line.
round.
Oh yeah, no question. He's at the David Johnson line for me.
So
David
was that
Johnson
four,
was
five?
well, David Johnson was going 6 on my list, but that was when Zeke was going at number 2
Right.
among, or we even had Zeke. You and I personally had Zeke at 1 before all of this went down. We had him ahead of Saquon. I can't. I gotta take Saquon. I gotta take McCaffrey. I gotta take Kamara. I probably gotta take David Johnson ahead of him. So at best, he's running back 5.
All
At
right.
best.
I can
So
see
and
that.
that's still first round, but I would have to be mid to late first round and see a lot of good running backs go before I'm gonna make that move because it is scary looking. It
It
is
is.
scary
You
looking.
know, everyone, like Sean thought Bell's going to play last year. That's why he
Yeah.
drafted him, in the first round?
Yeah, and if I do grab Zeke in that first round, I absolutely have to handcuff with Tony Pollard.
Oh,
I
definitely.
have to, and I
Definitely.
have to pay, and I'm gonna have to pay up. I'm gonna have to pay up. What I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to look at the ADPs going into that draft. Like, and this is the thing, folks. Don't forget, you can get ADP data in a lot of different sources. Fantasy Pros has them for free. Most of the major websites will have updated ADP sites. Fantasy Football World Championships, the FFWC, does a fantastic job with ADP computation. If Tony Pollard is going around pick, and I'm making this up, I have no idea off the top of my head where he's going. If he's going at pick 100 overall, I got to get him at pick 90. I can't risk not getting Tony Pollard if I draft Zeke in the first round. I have
Right.
to. I have to do it. I have to make that. I have to make that grab because it's just too risky to not do it. Wide receivers. Anybody who's moving
Broken.
up and yeah, well, yeah, a couple of them are. Anybody moving around your board? I'll tell you right now, the Denver guys are moving up my board after what I've seen. Cortland Sutton has been really good. Emmanuel Sanders looked healthy. Joe Flacco looks motivated for the
Well,
first time in a
here's a
long
question
time.
for you. After going back to my question,
Yeah,
does what's going on in with the Raiders affect you getting Antonio Brown at all?
I
Like,
already
has that
had
moved him?
it already it moves him down, but I already had him so low, it really doesn't matter. I have right now, like I said, I've done 15 best balls. Let's see, what else did we do? We did the Dynasty.
Yep.
We did the Beat the Addicts draft. And I think there's one more draft that we're involved in. Oh yes, Mandrew's the Eli challenge for charity out in Pittsburgh. We're involved in that one too. I think so that's 18 different drafts I've done this year.
Yep.
I think at this point I have 2 shares of Antonio Brown, and I think I got them both times in like the ninth or 10th round. I'm not going to pay up for him. First off, we got to remember who's the quarterback in Oakland. I mean, I'm sorry, with the
Carr.
Raiders, Derek Carr. Stop and remember that for a second. This is the same reason why no one was given any love to any of the guys in Denver. And Derek Carr has done nothing this preseason that I've seen that make me think that things have changed. What I saw out of Joe Flacco this week makes me think. And again, I'm not putting Joe Flacco in the top 10 QBs. Don't get me wrong, but I had him near the very bottom of my board. I think I had him at like QB 28, and he is definitely inside the top 20 now. He's probably the second. He's a QB 2 now in my estimation. And it'd be a great option in a flex league, a super flex league, in my opinion. But I can't trust Derek Carr. I can't. Antonio Brown does not appear to be right in the head. I don't know what his deal is, but I'm not getting good vibes from the Raiders at all. I'm not. A lot of people said this could be the year that they break out and Gruden's going to get some of the pieces together. And I don't even think it's drama
Nah.
related. I just don't think they're as good as people thought they were going to be.
Gruden's not loyal to quarterbacks, so don't expect Carr to be there next year or by the time they get to Vegas.
If they have a top 5 pick going into this next draft, in the 2020 NFL draft, they're picking in the top 5, there's a very, very strong chance that they are drafting a quarterback.
Probably Tug.
Very strong. What's that?
Said probably Tug
Yeah.
from Alabama.
See, that's where we need the source. I have no freaking idea. But I can tell you right now, you're right. And if this season starts to go badly and Gruden is looking down the barrel of 4-12, then he is going to go into that owner's office before the season ends and go, "We got to tank this thing and we got to get rid of Carr."
Yep.
That's what he's going to do. You let me take the reins and get Josh Jacobs, and I think Jacobs is going to be solid. But again, rookie running backs have been pretty solid the last couple years. So, looking back at the last 5 or 6 really truly highly rated ones, they've done well. But I think the second year would be better for him. He's going to go in there. He's going to make that pitch, and I think it's a worthwhile pitch.
And they're
going
to listen. And
I
maybe
think so.
maybe they'll be in Vegas by then.
Yes, I think they will. So Brown's the only one I'm really moving down. I mean, again, Mike Evans.
I'm staying away from Brown completely.
I'm passing on Brown. I'm very gun shy on Mike Evans. I'm starting to see now that second tier of wideouts is a little bit thicker than I first imagined. So I'm not desperate to get 2 of those top guys anymore. I am perfectly okay with getting, if I get an opportunity to grab a Julio or a Michael Thomas, I'll do so. But I'm not panicking and trying to grab Odell as soon as I get around the turn just because he falls to round 2.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to make that panic anymore. It's going to take a very unique circumstance for me to draft wide receiver in my our upcoming redraft, which September 2nd, if I got that right, is our home draft.
Yes, Sunday.
So I mean, we've got even more time for that. So, but it's going to take a rather unique set of circumstances for me to go run wide receiver. And earlier in the draft season, I was going wide receiver on some sort of regularity. So, tight end, the big 3 are the big 3. Everybody else is
they barely played this
time,
preseason.
and they've barely played this preseason. So there's really not much I can read into tight end. And kicker and defenses we're not too worried about. So I guess the biggest variance for me, and I'll put this question to you, where you think the biggest variance is, but the biggest variance compared to when we do the blitz was the running backs.
Yeah, especially with 2 contracts that may or may not happen.
Exactly. The Zeke and Gordon situations has really changed the way we've looked at running backs since we recorded that episode. This to me is how bad it is. David Johnson sneaks back into the top 4, top 5. He's got to, because you got to bump down Zeke, and if you had Gordon ahead of Johnson like I did, you got to bump down.
Now, for
Gordon.
you, those 2 things, well, 3 things if you count DJ moving up.
Right.
Where does this put people like, say, Joe Mixon on your list? Does this bump him up?
Does
this
has been
bump up Todd Gurley?
It's funny because I do watch the ADPs, and Mixon has been steadily creeping up. He is now whereas in the beginning of best ball season, early on he's was
like
going, and we're talking
2.6 now.
Yeah, well, I've seen him go at 110. I've seen him go at 111. I'm seeing him go in the first round if the running backs are going hard and heavy, and all of a sudden I've seen people pass up Julio Jones or Michael Thomas for Joe Mixon in that first round because they want a solid running back, and the running backs fly off the board. I think Mixon is at worst a second rounder right now. I think he definitely passes Gordon. There's no question he passes Gordon on my list. Zeke does not fall down past Joe Mixon though. I drive the train.
You do.
I'm driving the train. You're clicking the tickets. We are the conductors of the Joe Mixon Express. But even I'm starting to worry now because of the injuries and the issues in Cincinnati that this may not be as big a year as I had hoped it would be for Mixon. I'm still looking to grab him, but I'm not quite as crazy as I was a month or 2 ago about Joe Mixon and the Joe Mixon experience.
And then what about Todd Gurley? Do you even bother drafting him this year?
I will. If he's sitting there in round 3, I will grab him. I don't know if he's going to make it to round 3 in a lot of drafts. I think some people are gun shy, but I know the redraft we're going into. This is the house league we've been doing for 25 plus years. We know these guys really well. We know their draft habits really well. Doesn't mean they're always predictable, but what I can say is this: what is predictable is someone in that room will take Todd Gurley in the first 2 rounds because they're going to think they're getting a value and they're not worried about the knees.
That's
It's
fair.
gonna happen.
That's true. No, that's gonna happen.
I don't know
It's
who it's
definitely
gonna
gonna
be.
happen.
I don't know who it's gonna be. Like the same thing. Like going into the draft last year, we knew Le'Veon Bell, even though his ADP was creeping down as that drama went on, we knew he was gonna go in the first 10 picks.
And
We
he
knew
did.
it, and he went with like pick 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Somebody went up there and grabbed him right after Saquon. Saquon went 1 overall. Cinch grabbed Saquon. I think it was Sean.
Sean.
Grabbed
It was Sean.
Le'Veon. Yeah, just grabbed Le'Veon at pick 2. And that was earlier than I thought he would go. But there's no question that this particular group of owners are risk takers. And they are measured risk takers, and they're experienced fantasy players, and they know he was wrong, but
hey, it's a gamble.
and he took the percentage chances in his head. He said there's an 80% chance Le'Veon Bell will play this year, and he was wrong, but he took the measured chance, and he gave himself an opportunity. Had things gone differently,
Right.
his season would have gone differently too. So I can understand, I can respect that feeling on that. So, Craig, final thoughts so I can go take some NyQuil and lay down.
Final thoughts, 2 things. Fiona has been in your chair for the last 3 hours.
Yeah, put a mic in
And
front of her.
She doesn't look like she's going to get up anytime soon. And 2, when you're doing your draft, don't think that you have to draft, like you're looking at a chart or like the list we made or whatever, and say, right now we're at the number 5 guy in running back or wide receiver, and I have to take him because his numbers are better. You know what?
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. I mean, yeah, look at it, but if there's someone else you really want on your team because you like that team or you like that player, then just draft them.
Yes.
I mean, pay attention to injuries, but,
Yes. So I have my final thought is and I want to do a shout out too. My final thought is just don't overthink look at ADPs, trust your gut. Do not put too much weight and onus, for lack of a better term, on cheat sheets. Use them as your guide. Keep them as an idea for what other people may be thinking or doing. People get too glued to cheat sheets.
Sean.
But yeah. Well, Sean used to, back in the day, Sean would show up at the draft with 5 or 6 different magazines and have every cheat sheet open and would be cross-referencing them before he made a pick. Craig laughs, but he knows that's true.
I know.
That's
I watched
true.
it.
Don't be a slave to your cheat sheets. Trust your gut. If it says if Joe Mixon is at 8 and Le'Veon Bell is at 9, and I'm just saying hypothetically, and you prefer Le'Veon Bell, go get Le'Veon Bell. The only thing I'll say is draft smart. Know the people in the room. Know the people you're drafting against. If you're the only guy after round 5 in a 1 QB league and everybody's gone and rushed for QB, you can wait.
Yes.
Look at what goes on around you. I said that last year, and I'll say it one time here. Let the draft come to you. Don't force your will or let others enforce the will on your team. Let the draft come to you and see how the flow goes. If you have the opportunity to drive the cart and the values are there, go right ahead. But don't be reactive. If you're not going to be proactive and you're not going to be the guy that starts the quarterback run, don't panic when the quarterback run happens. You got to be smart. This is your team. And above all, do not ever let anyone tell you what you can and cannot do with your team. We are here to give you advice, but we are not your team owner. You own your team. You own your team. That's why it drives me nuts. You see it on Twitter all the time. So I just made this trade. Here's side A and here's side B. Which side won? It doesn't matter. The trade is done.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
You pulled the trigger on it. You must be happy with what you saw.
For whatever reason, doesn't matter.
Exactly. For whatever reason, you're happy with what you saw. You have to live with the results. It doesn't matter. You're looking for some sort of justification or gratification from quote-unquote experts. Don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
I mean, if Britt's a Chiefs fan and if Britt picks up the Chiefs defense, then hey, whatever.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
Yes. I don't know that I'm going to
Well, no one should use the Chiefs defense, but just saying, hypothetically.
Yeah. So, and just a quick shout out. We had a lovely conversation last week with Bao Blung of Big Guy Fantasy Sports. I heard him do a segment with the Football Diehards on Sirius XM. Another great show. If you have a chance to listen to Bob Harris's podcast, absolutely listen to Bob Harris. Amazing, amazing stuff from him. But I had a chance to listen to Bob Lung, and then found out he had just recently gotten onto Twitter. So I shared a promotion of his. Somebody was pushing him saying, people should be listening to Bob Lung. So I pushed his Twitter account, and he responded to us and was super nice. He has even offered to come on our show, Craig.
Nice.
So yeah, he's like, if you guys want me to come on and just talk sometime, I would be love to join you. And I'm like, Bob, we are working on the Skype thing now. We are working on software now.
Literally,
and today,
right now.
Literally as we're sitting here. And he is a proponent of fantasy football consistency. And he runs numbers that kind of show that the heavy hitters aren't always the best option, that keeping a consistent score is actually a better long-range, season-long option than saying it's okay for me to score 150 points this week and score 80 points the next. It's okay because his research is showing that consistency is a much better option. It is much better to get a team that's going to score 110 to 120 points a week than it is to have a team that may be 150 one week and 180 the next. And that's kind of he calls it the consistency guide. Very interesting stuff, and I'm starting to buy into it. I'm looking at his numbers, and I'm saying, this checks out. And you know me, I'm the numbers
You're
guy.
the number guy.
If you show me a group of numbers and I can't find an error in your calculations and your assumption, I'm buying in. So I'm still reading his guide because it's about 140 pages long.
That's a lot of pages.
He's very extensive on this. So I'm using his guide, but he was very nice. So a big shout out to Bob Lung. If you're not following him yet, he's at Bob_Lung. He has a podcast called the Fantasy Football Consistency Show. And his site is Big Guy Fantasy Sports. So, definitely, if you're looking for something to try, something different or in addition to us, absolutely check out his stuff. And hopefully sometime in the not too distant future, maybe at some point this season, we'll be able to have him on. So with that being said, thank you all for listening. Thank you for all the new followers. Please leave us a review or send us your comments. fignutsdfs@gmail.com, at fignutsdfs on Twitter. We will be back next week, probably starting to talk about week 1 projections and starting lineups a little bit because the preseason will officially be over, and focusing on our draft. Craig and I have to actually do the one draft that really matters above all others for us. I've done 18 drafts already this year, and my big one still hasn't even happened yet. So that'll be what I'm looking at. But we will be back next week. Until then, thank you again for listening. My name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
And we are the Football Fignuts Podcast.